Hey, welcome everybody. It's time to tee it up with Tom and John as they talk to the people driving Orange County, keeping our community on course. Let's meet the players this morning here. Welcome, Tom Johnson and John Stephens. Welcome, guys.
Good morning.
Great to be here, Paul.
So give the listeners and the viewers here this morning a little taste of who you are. You guys have been around for a while, and you've been involved in lots of different things. Let's start with Tom, since we teed him up first here.
Well, you know, John and I go back. We've been friends for a long time. We both tremendously active in not only our own businesses, but in our different communities. You know, I'm more focused on Newport Beach and Laguna Beach right now, and you know, John is the mayor of Costa Mesa.
The mayor of Costa Mesa. We got the mayor of Costa Mesa here today.
And you know, sometimes you sit
He's
there.
Even got a jacket to prove it here.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, but sometimes you say, "Oh, so you're the mayor of Costa Mesa, like you're influential." No. He is the mayor of Costa Mesa.
Right.
And
literally.
And he does a great job, you know, and it's you know, I think we're going to have fun on this, you know, because I think we come at things from a couple different, you know, standpoints in the community where, you know, I'm covering it and reporting on it and everything through Stu News, and John's actually one of the people making it happen. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. Yeah,
All
and
right.
we did a radio show during the pandemic for 16 weeks, and so we know how to handle it on
They
the
drove
air
you out that
together.
station and drove you over here.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
You know, and that convinced me that I can carry you again.
Exactly. just like a big bag of golf clubs.
There you go. Well, John Stephens, you've got a law firm in town here, and we got to do a shout out before we go any further. This is what, your 17th year in business
Yeah,
here?
my 17th year. We just celebrated that. My partner, Todd Friedland, and I have been together through thick and thin over that time, and we practice civil business litigation trial work here in Costa Mesa now, and I've been doing that. I'm in my 34th year of doing that in
my
Orange
goodness,
County. Yeah.
wow. And what's the name of the firm again? Both of your names?
Stephens, Stephens, Friedland, LLP, and yeah, we've been doing it great. And I told you I'd give you the 3 keys to a happy small business.
I thought you were
want that?
teasing. I didn't think there
No.
really are just 3 secrets here, but because you guys deal with a lot of business formations and breakups and all the other stuff that goes on here.
Now, should I write these down? Because does this work at home?
Here's
Does
a
this
little
work at home with my
There's a tab.
ex-wives?
yeah. It actually, in a sense, it does. It's more business based, but yeah, Paul, we do a lot of business breakup work, and I've learned these 3 principles. Okay.
All right.
Number 1, you have to pull your weight. If there's ever a situation where one partner's working demonstrably more than the other partner, there's resentment that kicks in. So, principle number 1: pull your weight.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
My late father was an executive at Chrysler. He was mostly a regional manager all over different parts of the country, so he dealt with dealers all the time. He said, I never saw a partnership that worked because sooner or later one person thinks they're doing most of the work.
Exactly. So that's principle number 1. Principle number 2 is, and this does apply to families, live within your means. Live within your means. If you get overextended in terms of credit, in terms of debt, you get in trouble, and then that creates too much pressure for a lot of businesses.
But that's the American way. You make more, you spend more.
Well, you have to take certain risks, and you have to leverage the business a bit, but you have to also live within your means. And then the third principle is absolute 100% real-time, down to the penny financial transparency. You have to know where all the money's being spent, all the money's coming in, and there could be absolutely no secrets down to the penny about what's happening financially in the business.
I've seen so many small businesses through the years, just in the work that we've done here, come in and admit sheepishly, I never even look at my financial statements.
Right.
I don't even know what the credit cards. Somebody does all that.
Well, I'm glad John shared that because, you know, I'm a small business owner.
Right.
And, you know, exactly what you said are things that keep me up at night. Now, not every night. I mean, some of them come and go and everything, like, particularly in number 1, like, is everybody pulling their weight?
Right.
You know, and I'm sure there's times my 2 partners think, like, maybe they're carrying more of the weight, you know, but I know recently, you know, I've been in a situation where I thought, like, man, am I the only one doing anything here? And it gets frustrating.
Right.
And, you know, I always think back when I'm doing something like this and maybe, like you think of the Beatles, like why did they break up?
Yeah.
I mean, you take it in those kind of terms.
Do you see that great documentary that was
Yes.
it Peter Jackson or something? I forget the film director
Yeah,
put
it was
together from
great.
all that archive stuff. Was it the Get Back album or something?
Yeah,
and you can just see them disintegrating.
But you think about like here are guys that should just be having total fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They're partying, they're playing music, and they can't get along.
And they're young.
But it's a business.
Right. Well, the other thing too that we have, and it's funny because I was on the way in here, I was listening to Howard Stern, and he was talking about how Paul McCartney, years after John Lennon died, went back and thought, why did I care if Yoko was in the studio?
Yeah.
What's the difference? John Lennon loves Yoko. They're very much in love. Who cares if she sits in the studio? And he thought that was a stupid thing to create a rift between the Beatles in retrospect. And but the other thing too is it's like, remember, I didn't say you have to love each other necessarily, and Todd and I happen to get along great. We're great friends, but we also have very different lives. The other day or yesterday, I was trying to put up a Facebook photo, and I could only find one photo of me and Todd in my grouping of photos because we have completely different lives.
Yeah.
Kids are different ages, things like that, but we come together for the purpose of the business.
I think that is good that you can walk out of the office at the end of the day, especially, I know your business, sometimes they're long days.
Oh, yeah.
And to be able to go off and kind of just be on your own with your own people and your own family and all of that stuff, I think that's good. And then you come back together and you're strong.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys represent the three things that don't often come together: government, small business, and the news. Those live in separate silos here. How do you guys wear those different hats, and how do you get along? I mean, you talk about Stu News. You've been doing news, even before that, you were doing news. For a long time.
So I published a daily pilot for a bunch of years. And then when I kind of felt like the control of ownership, Pilot was owned by the LA Times and through the Tribune Company, not bad-mouthing anybody or whatever, but they just had a different vision of local news than I had. So I did my own thing, and I eventually came up with Stu News. John and I have had a great friendship. I think we're both, we can be both very candid with each other. I mean, John knows that when we're together and whatever, we're together as friends. We're not together as I'm a news guy out there covering everything that John says. Trust me, if I wrote about everything that John says, we would be doing a different show.
And Paul, I'd never be mayor.
No, but I mean, John and I are friends. Are friends. Not. I mean, first. I don't know if it's first, but we're very good friends. I believe that one of the things that makes me better as somebody reporting the news is over the years I've developed friendships with people like John and other people, in similar situations where you can get a lot of the background detail and it helps you bring the story together at the end of the day.
Yes.
So,
and Stu News, if I could, compliment. Can I compliment Stu News? Is that okay, Tom?
if you want to, yes,
Okay.
sure.
And
Okay,
spell it for if somebody wanted to know where it's Stu.
STU.
Okay, why Stu?
There was I get that question probably the most, and there was a gentleman in Laguna Beach that came up with this concept. His name was Stu Saffer, and Stu started Stu News Laguna, and he got moderately successful, and then somebody that I knew, Shayna Stabler, went in and monetized it, and then they kept calling me and saying, "Hey, start Stu News Newport, start Stu News Newport." And so I finally got around to doing it one day when I saw local news making a critical error in our marketplace, and just capitalized on it. It's been
So like
great.
Angie's List. She started it and it took off. And
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
What was the critical error?
The critical error is when so I love the Daily Pilot. I spent a lot of time there, building that and everything, and the decisions weren't being made locally. And so one of the decisions they made was to take this community newspaper that was serving Newport Beach and Costa Mesa and have it also serve Laguna Beach and Irvine
Right.
and Fountain Valley and Huntington Beach. And pretty soon, all the things that the local people picked it up for were no longer in there because not only did they do that, but they shrunk the edition down
Right.
to a minimal amount of pages. And so, to get up in the morning and read about your kid that's playing football or swimming on the team or
Exactly.
or whatever, in choir at school or whatever. Those stories disappeared because there were too much to cover. The area was too big.
And too little space left.
And they lost it.
Yeah, and that's a great part of Stu News that I was going to say is the depth of coverage of Newport Beach. I don't really subscribe to the Laguna Beach Stu News, but Newport Beach.
Well, I don't
being
know
a
if you fit
neighboring
those
city.
demos for it, so I don't know if
Yeah.
we'd allow that. But
Well,
we
I mean,
appreciate it.
I barely make it into the subscription base of Newport Beach, but I love the way it covers, all the details, all the things that are happening in the community, not just reporting on the city, but every nonprofit, everything that's happening with the high schools, the school district. It's really very comprehensive, and then having guest authors come in and write columns is also, I think, great because it gives people an outlet
Right.
to kind of do an op-ed,
Right.
and it's really helpful.
And so this is online, right?
Yeah.
Right, stewnews.com. But one of the things you just touched on, John, is the community and covering the community. And yes, thank you for the compliment. Just one of the things real quick is we're starting next Tuesday. Joe Stapleton, who's a city council person, is writing our first regular council column. And I've just put all the council people and the school board people that affect Newport Beach on an opportunity for them to write columns moving forward that are dates, and it's about connecting those people with the community. And let's be honest, and I know you must see this as mayor, but it's not just government stuff. It's not just okay. Well, we have to stripe Harbor Boulevard or whatever. It's figuring out where the nonprofits fit in. It's figuring out what's good for the kids. It's there's so many different aspects, and I think those things probably cross your desk more than that minutia stuff on the kind of the boring stuff of keeping a city together.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example because the thing about the city council is, we don't write any tickets or save any lives on a 911 call or trim any trees or anything like that. But where we add the value is being out there with the people. So today I work out every day at 5 a.m. and there's a woman that.
Wait a minute, John, stand up for a second.
I know, shush.
Okay,
look
go
at,
ahead.
Look at, I know. Imagine how I look.
Ouch.
Just no, Paul and Tom. Imagine how I'd look if I didn't work out every day. I'd be like the guy from The Whale.
Yep.
It's like
Here I am
Brett-
looking down and I can barely see down the front of me. But
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
Anyway, glass houses. But anyway, if I may return to my story. So I work out every day at 5 o'clock. So I work out sometimes with this woman by the name of Raina Cuthill, who Raina Cuthill is part of Love Costa Mesa, formerly Trellis, that whole group. And so they're having an event tomorrow, which is Love Costa Mesa, Love Your Neighbor Day, where they're going to go out in the north part of Costa Mesa and really help a senior who's having an issue with her house. And so people are kind of going to come from 8:30 to 12 and work on that. So she has been involved with, it's called Costa Mesa's Network for Homeless Solutions. Network for Homeless Solutions. It's been going on for many, many years, and it's very helpful and successful in that kind of area. She says to me today, she goes, you know what we need? She says, we need Network for Senior Solutions. Because what they're seeing now as the community grows older is the seniors, especially with fixed income, many of them are in trouble. They need extra help. They need extra financial help. There's things like cleaning up their house, things that they need assistance with. There's people that are, not just seniors, but people that are having mental illness crises. And it's not just all about, we talk about homelessness all the time, but there's plenty of people that have shelter that need assistance. Sure. So she was bringing that up, and I'm like, yes, absolutely, we need to do that. And we're having our retreat for the city council next week, next Friday at this time, a week from today. I'll be there. And one of the things that I'd like to bring up is a greater commitment. We do have a commitment, but even a greater commitment to mental health. Bring in some additional mental health workers, have a mobile mental health unit, not just to deal with the issues of the homeless, but to deal with people that are struggling in our community, whether housed or homeless.
Well, when you say mental health, we could do a couple of shows on that if they just talk to me.
I know.
But, so
you could be our first
no,
customer.
but John, and I know you're like me, so I look at today, okay, the work week's done. I can take a deep breath. But at the end of the day, what a lot of people don't understand, and I know it's the same for you, is so tonight I have opening day of baseball, Little League. Tomorrow I'm in a parade in Laguna Beach, the Patriots Day parade down Forest Avenue. There's a volleyball tournament on the coast this week. It happens to be in Laguna Beach that has some of the best college players playing beach volleyball. Tomorrow night at one of the museums, there's California Cool. And I mean, these things go on all weekend long.
Tell me about it.
And you go and you go and you go. And you were talking earlier about like people carrying the weight at work and things like that. Sometimes I get there and I look in the rearview mirror and I'm thinking like, okay, I just wrote some columns. I just wrote stories. I just talked to different people. I'm engaged in the community. I got to handle an ad sale or something, and it's like, it never stops.
Oh, it never does.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I have got a deposition this afternoon. So I've got an expert witness deposition this afternoon. So.
Oh, so you're taking it?
Yeah. No. I'm defending. I'm defending.
But I'm saying you're not giving.
I'm not being deposed. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for my poor lawyer. I've only been deposed once, and my lawyer struggled with me. I was a terrible witness. But, so anyway, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Last night I was at a thing, though, called the OCBC dinner in Orange County Business Council. Okay. And boy,
we just had the new executive director in here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've forgotten his name.
Like Jay Ross or something like that.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Who took over after...
after Lucy Dunn.
Yeah, Lucy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So amazing. So I was sitting at the table for Related Bristol. You know about that project, Related Bristol?
I don't.
Okay, so here...
Alex Renagi, I think, might be involved in that now.
Yeah, Alex, who's a council member now in Laguna Beach, and a great guy. Highest vote getter, I think, in Laguna Beach.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he just went over from Katrina Foley's office to Related. But anyway, here's what they're doing. So you guys know the area. It's on Bristol, so it's bordering Costa Mesa. That's why I'm involved. And so it was me, Valerie Amezcua, who's the mayor of Santa Ana, were at this table, and some other council members. And so...
she was in here, too. I'm just
really?
dropping names here.
Valerie was in here?
Yeah, when she was running.
Oh, good. Yeah, she's great. So anyway, on Bristol, between Sunflower and MacArthur, there's that area where it has TJ or Ross and Red Robin, and you know what I'm talking about, where there used to be a Toys R Us. That area is going to be basically completely transformed.
That's right. So they told that whole area, just sort of as you're headed towards MacArthur. You were talking about that once before.
Yeah,
that whole thing.
It's amazing. It's going to be 3,750 units, residential units, 350,000 square feet of retail and restaurant space, 2 parks. One park's going to be called Central Bristol Park, plazas, exciting stuff to walk around. And the whole idea is to get people out of their cars, get people inside, outside. This whole idea of people are remotely working, and they can work at home, and then they can walk to the grocery store and have it completely kind of integrated environment. It's really beautiful. And so that was one of the projects that they featured yesterday at OCBC. In addition to that, they did OC Vibe, which was very interesting. So
that's around the stadium over there?
It's 100 acres in Anaheim.
Right.
So there's this, the Bristol, Related Bristol, that's 41 acres is that area. And then they also talked about the Dana Point Harbor, which is going to be completely redone, and a couple of other projects. City of Hope coming in to Irvine, and a complete redo of UC Irvine's medical center.
We just started a podcast for City of Hope.
Yeah.
So what blows my mind on all that stuff, and I'm so happy to see it, but one of the things that we do in Stu News is we run old historical photos. We talk about some of the old things that happened and what they looked like in town and things like that. And you look back at all the different transformations, like the old Balboa Island, with the houses and some of the little businesses and things like
When
that.
they couldn't give it away, as you were talking
Yeah,
about before.
but just the whole transformation of that,
Sure.
and the different processes of building a community. Not only building a community, but then at certain points raising it and then doing something else.
Sure.
And I got to tell you, one of the things I admire about somebody like you that would get into public office is not only do you have to look at, like, okay, is this a good project for today, but you got to look out with that vision of what's Costa Mesa going to look like in 25, 50 years from now, or what do you want it to look like, and kind of give some foresight, which always I find incredible in cities. Like you take a Salt Lake City, how they have all the numbered streets. You could
Right.
you could say an address, and you know right where it is by the way it was all laid out.
Yeah, the grid.
Yeah, and but that foresight, that's got to be challenging for somebody like you.
Oh, it's unbelievable. But like we stand on the shoulders of people that have had vision in Costa Mesa and throughout Orange County for years. Like we were just talking about this a couple months ago. We're doing these study sessions for the different departments, and one of them is the Parks Department. We have 30 parks in Costa Mesa. 30 parks.
I would have never guessed. I would have said 3 maybe or something.
Unbelievable. And so I'm sitting there and I listen to the parks director and the staff talk about what's going on in parks and also community services, things that they're doing, programming that they're doing for youth and recreation and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. But we haven't, well, I take it back. We in the county built one small pocket park since I've been on council. So the people that went before us had the vision to say, we're going to be a city with 30 parks. And now we have to maintain them and improve them. And we put playgrounds in different parks, and we've done that stuff. But to create a city that is going to be park focused is really something.
But yes, but it's the people back then that said we're going to have 30 parks,
Right.
and we're going to allocate that space that could have been at one point like, oh, let's just put houses there. We can make more money.
Absolutely.
We can do that, but it ruins the quality of life.
Yeah, and we have something that's happening, and who knows, maybe this will be in next year. We'll be talking about this for OCBC or in the future, but we have Fairview Developmental Center, which is close to 100. It's about 100 acres. I don't know if it's 100 acres that we're going to be able
That's
to
been
build
sitting
on.
empty for a long time.
It has been, and it's owned by the state, and the state is putting in a regional emergency headquarters for the OES, the Office of Emergency Services. So we know that that's going to go in there, and that's going to be about 10 to 15 acres. But we've got a grant for $3.5 million to kind of imagine and design the rest of the place. And this is where we really get into like what you're talking about with vision and talking to the community and talking to developers and talking to people that have a stake in that spot and saying, what do we want to see? We know we're going to put housing there. We know we're going
Well, you have to now almost. Yeah,
absolutely. We know we're going to have a fair amount of housing units. Housing units require services, so there's going to be some type of a village and services for those housing units. And then the other part is what we just talked about, which is open space. So there has to be a place where people can breathe, people can play, and kind of get out of the sort of the urban area that they've got.
Well, I commend you because
Down to 5 minutes here.
okay,
We could keep you guys going for 5 hours. Okay.
Of course, we wouldn't stop.
I commend you, John, on that Fairview project because if I'm not mistaken, you spend several days a week touring the outside of that facility,
Yes.
looking and imagining all the things, between shots, I might add, and it's tee it up with Tom and John or John and Tom or whatever. But we both have a love of golf, and I know you spend. As you should, as mayor of Costa Mesa, you're a big proponent of Costa Mesa Country Club, and but that's a neighbor.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you a funny story. So, back when Fairview Developmental Center was operating, it was hard to get a tour that in there. You had to be invited, and you couldn't just knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm a council member, give me a tour." So we arranged this tour, and we're going around the table for the intros. Who are we? And I say, well, my connection to Fairview Developmental Center is I've whacked a lot of balls into Fairview Developmental Center. So as I'm leaving the tour, one of the tour guides, the women that was giving us the tour, she goes, oh, council member, stop! I've got something for you. And I thought she was going to bring out a big bag of golf balls, but she brought out this little golf ball, and it was a craft. And so what they would do is they would collect those golf balls that you and I would hit over there, and they would give them to the residents, and they would make things out of the golf balls.
Wow.
And this was like a little sun that they made out of a golf ball, and it said something like, you are my sunshine, or something
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Nice,
So they
nice,
they repurposed it. You should know that all the balls you hit over to Fairview
I've never
Developmental
done
Center
that.
were repurposed.
Well, we're going to repurpose this for another time here. You guys just gave us a quick view of what we're going to see each and every time as you tee it up. I feel like I'm listening to Inside Baseball. You talk about Little League starting here. This
Yes.
is Inside Baseball for the county here.
Absolutely.
The people who are connected, who know what's happening, and a free-flowing discussion about where we're going, what are we doing, and what's Orange County going to look like. I think that's the big discussion going forward here.
Absolutely.
And we want to have fun doing it.
And we'll have guests. Don't worry, listeners. We won't just be Tom and I droning on.
And just to clarify, it's Jeffrey Ball. He's the new head of the Orange County Business Council.
Yeah, Jeffrey Ball. Yeah, he did a great job last night.
I looked his name
Thank you,
up.
Jeffrey.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in here. Give us some outro. Who gets to say goodnight? Goodnight, David.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night,
Gracie.
John Boy. Good night, John Boy.
You know what? I just want to invite people. I'm very excited about this with joining John, and I hope you join us. John and I could be found on social media, and check out the city of Costa Mesa for the mayor, and me and Stu News, and if you got a subject or something you want to talk about or a question you need to ask, let us know. We'll happy to talk about it. But it's teeing up with Tom and John, and we thank you for being a part of us.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
A community conversation, something that we haven't had in a long time here. I look forward to it. Thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to the next one as we continue to tee it up with Tom and John.
4?
Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's The Applied Innovation Center.